Hi, my name is Evanice Youngblood, and during this video, I'm going to be talking about anti-racism and a prevention program that could be implemented in school systems. This topic was a bit personal because my son, who attends a Christian school, recently began to experience what I would consider some extreme forms of racism. Knowing that eventually we may have to have some of these talks with him, we were prepared to maybe in the future, which is one of the reasons why we put him in Christian education, was so that we wouldn't have to have some of these conversations earlier on. Despite that, he is experiencing a lot of racism. Now, what I have noticed is that in the Christian school system, many times they teach about the love of Christ, as they should. They teach about loving your fellow man. They teach about all these things, but there's very little educational points on what makes us different and how to embrace our differences as a positive rather than a negative. When my son began to experience these things, he did not have an outlet to go to. He was afraid to tell the principal because the principal was viewed as a disciplinarian. He was afraid to tell a teacher, so because he's the only black student in his class, he didn't want to be separated from the rest of the class out of fear that this is going to be how the teacher believes it would be best able to protect him. Racial discrimination has been reviewed as it relates to adults on a large scale. How racism affects children's health, and children's education is not widely researched as some researchers would believe it should be. The program that I would like to implement is directly focused on prevention. How do we prevent these things from happening? Prevention versus response. As in the field that I work in the Marine Corps, we're equal opportunity advisors. We're responding to complaints, something that already happened. So now that the Marine Corps is gearing more towards prevention, it helps me to understand what it means to implement prevention measures versus constantly responding to an issue or multiple issues. So what I would recommend, having these conversations about the love of God, having the conversations about caring for others as God would care for them, teaching the children the ways of the Bible and the ways of the Lord and how we're supposed to be with one another. But also, at a certain age, informing them about societal issues such as racism in a way that is educational. Hey, I understand that this student is the only black student in the classroom. This is why it is wrong to say certain things to them. This is what it means. This is why it is hurtful. And giving the children